As a gold medal game designer, I am skilled at using role-playing to draw materials in real life. Before making the game, I will carefully play the role, even if the target is a grass, a tree, or a stone, I will fully immerse myself and complete it without compromise. Recently, I am working on a game and movie about explorers. Faced with the interview footage, Zhixing, hailed as the god of game design in the VR era, said seriously. The host remained silent for a moment and said, "So, is that why you and your entire production team found the ruins of an ancient civilization on a deserted island in the ocean and then collapsed it?" Keywords of the novel. Life play game with no pop-ups. Download the complete set of Life Play Games TXT, and read the latest chapters of Life Play Games. Chapter 1. Life Play Games. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Life Play Games Jinghai City, Linjiang Province, Jinghai University North Road, Xinglu Internet Cafe. Zhixing woke up from a drowsy sleep and felt his arms tingling. Later, he heard the sounds of keyboards and mice coming from around, occasionally accompanied by a few taps on the table. "Damn it, 3 hits and 1 counterattack, will you play? Did you see that? Just now, my wave of Tianxiu." Zhixing rubbed his slightly painful temples, opened his sleepy eyes, and looked around, feeling dazed. What is the situation? This is the lobby of an internet cafe, with a low occupancy rate of only 30.4%. The customers are mainly young people, most of whom are playing games, and there are also a few people chasing dramas. The atmosphere of the internet cafe is quite good. And Zhixing seemed to have fallen asleep on a machine in the corner of an internet cafe. How could overtime add to the illusion? Zhixing instinctively touched his phone, only to find that the latest folding screen he had just spent a month's salary on had disappeared and was replaced by a seemingly ordinary student phone. The cheap plastic frame and outdated screen-to-body ratio indicate that this phone, even in its original world, is only at the level of a 1,000 yuan device. The statement of high emotional intelligence is called the youth version, while the statement of low emotional intelligence is called electronic waste. It wasn't until Zhixing opened the front camera of the camera and saw a somewhat unfamiliar handsome face that his mood changed from confusion to shock. "Damn it, I've traveled." Massive memories flooded into the mind like a raging storm, accompanied by the original owner's complex emotions, instantly overwhelming all his thoughts. Zhixing, 18 years old, is a freshman majoring in game design at Jinghai University. "My parents passed away early, and I rely on my brother Lu Mingyuan. To make a living, Lu Mingyuan has changed many professions, set up street vendors, worked as a waiter, and delivered takeout. It wasn't until 3 years ago, relying on the hard-earned capital, that the lives of the two brothers finally improved. Zhixing was finally able to study seriously without any worries and successfully obtained the game design major at Jinghai University. Just as their lives had just turned around, the two brothers encountered another crisis. The operation of the internet cafe has encountered problems, with a significant decline in attendance. Although the older brother Lu Mingyuan has tried his best to appear calm, he often feels anxious and sleepless all night, and his hairline has shifted back by an unknown amount. Zhixing was thinking when he saw Lu Mingyuan walking over with a briefcase in his hand, as if he was about to leave. "Zhixing, I have made an appointment with several game companies' promotion managers tonight. They may not be back until very late. Remember to eat on time yourself." Although Lu Mingyuan's appearance is somewhat similar to Zhixing's, many people do not consider the two brothers at first glance. This is because Lu Mingyuan took on life pressure too early, resulting in a receding hairline, more wrinkles, and a distorted figure, which caused a significant difference in temperament between the two brothers. "You don't have to worry about money. I'm already figuring out a solution. You should still do your studies well, graduate smoothly, and find a good job in a big company, just like before. Your brother, I can rest assured. Do you understand?" Lu Mingyuan hastily explained a few words, but did not give Lu Zhixing too much opportunity to speak before leaving the internet cafe. Lu Zhixing opened his mouth, but he couldn't find a chance to interject. "I have been like this since I was young." In the original owner's memory, his elder brother Lu Mingyuan always tried every possible way to meet all his academic requirements, while he was able to save as much as possible. Moreover, every time he encountered a crisis, Lu Mingyuan always happily told him not to worry, promising that he would solve it. Although in terms of results, Lu Mingyuan did indeed solve every crisis with safety, only the two brothers knew about the hardships involved. "Never mind, with his personality, he won't listen to anything I say now. Let me figure out a solution myself." Lu Zhixing fell into contemplation. According to the original owner's memory, the key to the current problem with internet cafes is the funding gap. Ultimately, we still need to find ways to make money. I don't understand the business of internet cafes, but the technology in this world seems to be quite advanced. As a senior dog planner, I have many successful game cases in my mind. Perhaps you can try making money by playing games. According to the original owner's memory, Lu Zhixing arrived at the miscellaneous room on the second floor of the internet cafe. In addition to stacking miscellaneous items from internet cafes, there is also a marching bed here where the two brothers often rest after watching the night shift. In the corner, Lu Zhixing found a packaged paper box. This is the lowest configuration version of the 5th generation VR game helmet that the original owner worked hard to save money during the summer vacation and spent over 9,000 yuan to buy. This type of helmet is currently the hottest digital product, with a groundbreaking technological innovation, realizing virtual reality technology for consciousness connection for the first time. But now, the original owner packed it up with the intention of selling it. The original owner's idea was that although the money was not much, it could at least help his brother's internet cafe support for a period of time. Perhaps there will be a turning point when the time comes. But when Lu Zhixing looked at the packaged game helmet, he felt that the layout was clearly too small. What if this game helmet can be sold smoothly at a price of 80% off? Can a few thousand yuan really play a decisive role in the cost of an internet cafe? I'm afraid it's just a drop in the bucket. There is a game editor in the VR helmet, which can be used to create games. Do as you please. Lu Zhixing lies on the marching bed and presses the start button on the VR helmet. Later, he felt a tingling sensation coming from the area where the helmet came into contact with the brain, enveloping a vast area from the forehead to the back of the brain. His consciousness also became drowsy, gradually entering a half-asleep and half-awake state. When Lu Zhixing regained his consciousness and looked around, he realized that he was already in a pure white illusory space. In the front view, the logo of the VR helmet development company, Nagato Group, appears as a virtual hollow ball wrapped in countless vines. To Lu Zhixing's surprise, the original owner had not yet modified the default nickname, and the nickname column was still a string of garbled characters. So he reached out and touched the Modify button. "Please enter a new nickname." Lu Zhixing thought for a moment and wrote the 3 words, "foreigner," in the input box. The reason for giving this nickname is mainly due to 2 reasons. On the one hand, Lu Zhixing is a traveler who has a mentality of being a stranger in a foreign land alone. On the other hand, as a gamer, Lu Zhixing prefers the meme, "Despicable Outsider." Successfully changed nickname. Foreigner, welcome to the virtual world of Zhixing. The surrounding scenery rapidly changed, and Lu Zhixing found himself in the magnificent and spacious hall. This is the default login space, but Lu Zhixing is not interested in watching it now. He explored around and quickly found the entrance to the VR helmet's built-in editor. This is a special pure white door without any patterns, which looks very different from the surrounding style. Lu Zhixing pushed the door and entered the editor. This is an endless pure white space, with nothing except for the inconspicuous dark grid lines used to confirm the scale. The question is, how should I use this editor? Oh, does the original owner seem to have a usage method in his memory? Lu Zhixing made a few simple gestures and immediately brought up the resource panel and editing panel. The original owner was a student majoring in game design. After purchasing a VR helmet, he tried to create his own game using an editor and mastered the corresponding operations. This is reasonable, but the problem is, why would he still sell his VR helmet if that's the case? With confusion, Zhixing looked at the resource interface of the editor and instantly understood everything. Because in the editor, no. There is. Vegetarian. Material. There are only some very rough, rudimentary, and outdated materials in the editor, which are sold at a very high price. Apart from a very small number of cheap losers, no one will buy them at all. The high-end materials required for serious gaming, whether they are original paintings, actions, or large scenes, all require a high cost of production. Either build your own team or find outsourcing. It's not something that ordinary people can afford to play with. A clever woman cannot cook without rice. With ideas and no materials, she still cannot create a game that can be put on shelves and sold for money, which naturally does not help the current situation of internet cafes. Zhixing was speechless as he silently exited the virtual space and took off his gaming helmet. It seems that whether this VR game helmet is sold or not will not affect the end of the internet cafe's bankruptcy. Sent it, open it up. However, at this moment, a few lines of writing suddenly appeared in Zhixing's field of vision without warning. The life play game has been activated. You are the only player in this game. Game function 1. Play. The game will randomly release play tasks for you and provide necessary skills for playing. After completing the tasks, you will receive play points and random rewards. Game function 2. Material extraction. You can consume a certain amount of points to extract materials from reality and automatically generate the materials needed to create the game. This game is currently an experience version, and players can activate the official version function after achieving their first stage goal, earning 100,000 yuan, through their own efforts. The official version will open a points mall, where you can purchase rich rewards including but not limited to memory capsules and various skill books with points. Zhixing was stunned for a moment, and then a wave of joy surged in his heart. Sure enough, according to the usual internet writing routine, after crossing over, there must be a golden finger. Is this my golden finger? Although it's not the kind of simple, rough, and direct payment system, it seems to be able to automatically generate usable game materials. So, don't I have the resources needed to make a game? As long as the materials can be obtained, then the game editor in this VR helmet can come in handy. Of course, Zhixing still has many questions about the specific usage of this golden finger, but this is not a big problem. Let's explore it slowly. Do you want to claim your first mainline play task? Zhixing nodded decisively and said, claim it. Mainline play task. Please play the role of a tree that strives to grow and thrive regardless of wind or rain. Obtained play skill. I am a tree. Empty your mind, clear all thoughts, stay still, stop all actions. Zhixing was stunned for a moment, then a question mark slowly floated out of his head. Playing the target with you, isn't it playing the person? People are relatively complex targets to play, with high difficulty and beyond the player's current level, so they are only activated in the official version. The difficulty of the experience version is relatively low, and the goal of playing is relatively simple, so there is a possibility of non-human playing goals. Is it difficult to play the role of a god or a non-human with low difficulty? Are you still considering it for me? Zhixing fainted, and this first task almost hit his waist. So your game name shouldn't be called Life Play Game, it should be called Tree Life Play Game. Can we switch to playing the target? The main storyline play task cannot be changed or abandoned. Players are advised to maintain a positive attitude and complete the play seriously. Your grandfather. Zhixing had mixed feelings in his heart, but after considering for a long time, he could only accept it. Okay, this role isn't really difficult, give it a try. Zhixing looked around and saw no one around, secretly closing the doors and windows of the internet cafe's miscellaneous room to prevent his foolish behavior from causing too much emotional shock to ignorant passers-by. Then, he opened his arms to imitate the branches of a tree, stood straight, closed his eyes, and tried to imagine himself as a tree. Fortunately, no one saw it, otherwise Zhixing would have awkwardly dug out a 3-bedroom living room with his toes. I don't know if the skill has taken effect, but Zhixing's thoughts quickly became completely empty, standing straight and motionless. However, after a long time, there was no change in the completion rate of the main line playing the target in the field of vision, still at 0%. What's the situation? Is it my way of acting wrong? Role-playing principle. 1. Please put your whole heart and soul into the role, and try to align every move with the performance goal as much as possible. Achieved. 2. Please play in an appropriate environment in reality, and the role cannot be separated from specific scenes. Not achieved. Zhixing's mouth slightly widened. Why is playing ineffective? Because he is currently on the second floor of the internet cafe. Have you ever seen a tall tree on the second floor of an internet cafe? At least the place where you step on must be a piece of land that can take root, right? This game determines that his performance has not been achieved, and there is indeed no problem. Zhixing remained silent for a long time and said, "Okay, you won." After a mental struggle, he left the internet cafe, swept a shared bike, and rode towards the nearest Longtan Park. Cute new author has published a book. Seeking a collection update 2 chapters with 6,000 words every morning at 10 a.m. on time, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. I am a tree. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. I am a tree. 10 minutes later, Zhixing arrived. At this moment, the sky had gradually darkened, and Zhixing looked at the entrance of Longtan Park, suddenly feeling like, this is really a tiger's den in Longtan. If you were to play the role of a tree in a park filled with grandpas, aunties, and various pedestrians, you would probably not be far from social death. Originally, Zhixing wanted to wait a little longer and only enter when there were fewer people. However, on second thought, if he chose a park with very few people, playing the role of a tree in a dark corner would likely scare the children even more. Moreover, the park will close at 9 p.m., and Zhixing is not yet sure how long it will take to complete the play. If the time is not well controlled, either the performance will fail and must be postponed until tomorrow, or one will be locked up in the park and sleep on a bench all night. Forget it, let's just die together. Anyway, no one knows who I am. As long as I'm not embarrassed, it's someone else who's embarrassed. Zhixing put on a black mask and duckbill cap, and then covered the hat of his hoodie to minimize the possibility of being recognized by acquaintances. Then, with the mentality of, the wind is rustling, the water is cold, and the heroes are gone forever, he stepped into the park. A few minutes later, Zhixing came to the lawn and looked at the sign saying, "Cute grass, don't step on me," lost in thought. He originally wanted to plant himself on a random lawn, but the question is, I know I'm a big tree, do the park administrators know? Stepping on the lawn may be seen as uncivilized behavior and stopped, but wouldn't the act be interrupted? After hesitating for a while, Zhixing decided to change places again. Finally, after circling the park for half a circle, he found the best spot. It was an inconspicuous corner in the park, not many people, and most importantly, there was still a tree pit here for some unknown reason. The trees next to them are all in good condition, except for a tree pit left here. Zhixing speculated that the tree may have fallen ill or died and been uprooted, but the park has not yet planted new trees. Sure, isn't this quite suitable? Zhixing looked around and saw no one around. He silently stepped into the tree pit, his hands slightly open and hanging, his body upright, forming a faint, wooden shape. Later, he restrained his mind and his vision gradually became blurred. Although he still kept his eyes open and could feel everything around him, these feelings seemed to be getting farther and farther away from him. It seems like it has really turned into a tree. Later, Lu Zhixing saw that the progress bar of the play began to slowly grow. It's really possible. President Lu Zhi took a breath, initially worried that his actions of wearing a hat and mask would affect his performance. Have you ever seen a big tree wearing a hat and a mask? But now it seems that I have been overthinking, and this game is not that abnormal yet. Hold on, based on the current growth rate of the progress bar, it only takes about an hour to play and it will be successful. Lu Zhixing gradually entered a state of forgetting things in me. With the gentle breeze blowing, he would also gently sway the branches of the tree, as if it had truly become a tree. After a period of time, the faint voices came from a distance and gradually approached the location of Lu Zhixing. A young girl in sportswear, holding a phone holder, stopped jogging not far away and turned to take a walk while chatting with the audience on her phone screen. Alright, today's outdoor exercise time is over. As a game host, sitting for a long time is not good for your health, so you should often run and exercise. You should also learn from the host, not just sit and play games every day, go out to nearby parks for activities, and breathe fresh air. Unfortunately, the anchor couldn't wake up in the morning and had to come out for a run before the broadcast ended at night. She chatted with the audience in the live broadcast room while walking unpreparedly towards the direction where Lu Zhixing was located. Lu Zhixing panicked instantly and watched as the anchor kept getting closer to him. What luck! How could you run into the anchor in the park? Okay, I hope this is a less popular little anchor. During the performance, whether Lu Zhixing opened or closed his eyes, it seemed that it did not affect the performance, so he chose to keep his eyes open, at least so that he could observe the dangers around him. At this moment, as he watched the anchor constantly approaching him, he was powerless and could only hope that he was an unpopular young anchor, minimizing the negative social impact of this encounter. However, as the other party gradually approached, Lu Zhixing's heart instantly dropped in half. Not a little anchor. Her name is Su Jing, and she is a well-known game zone anchor on the entire network. Unlike other anchors who can be considered a fish in the net for 9-year compulsory education, she is a top student who graduated from the Department of Literature at Jinghai University, and can also be said to be Lu Zhixing's senior sister. In addition, Su Jing is completely different from her name. Although she appears gentle and peaceful, she actually has a great talent for sports. She once participated in a challenge program hosted by a live streaming website and successfully passed the level without any pressure. Not only that, she is also very passionate about extreme sports and racing, and it is said that she has also participated in women's amateur racing competitions and achieved quite good results. It is precisely for this reason that she stood out from the crowd of anchors and gained the love of the audience through her talent. Lu Zhixing felt a chill in his heart. The cultural industry in Jinghai is developed, so many anchors live in Jinghai. Lu Zhixing also knows this point. But the problem is, with such a large sea of capital, how could he have thought of encountering someone so unlucky? One Duzi, not an unknown little anchor, but a big anchor who can make me famous. What should I do? I can only continue to pray that she hasn't seen me. Lu Zhixing strives to reduce his sense of existence, silently praying that the other person will overlook him in their vision, while continuing to play the role of a tree seriously, hoping to integrate with nature as much as possible. 1 step, 2 steps. Su Jing didn't walk fast, and Lu Zhixing felt like he was spending time like years, inexplicably feeling like he was playing a horror game. Finally, Su Jing arrived at the end of this road and prepared to take a turn to reach the exit of the park. Lu Zhixing finally took a long breath. Great, you really didn't see me. It seems that the skill, I am a tree, is still useful. Not only do I feel like I have become a tree, but I also blend perfectly with the surrounding environment, making it easier for others to see anything unusual. This game is not without its merits, at least the skills it provides are quite useful. However, Lu Zhixing couldn't be happy for too long. Because Su Jing didn't go far, she suddenly said, Why do bullet comments say there's a person? Where is there a person? Nima. Lu Zhixing almost spat out old blood in one gulp. You water enthusiasts got stuck with fluoroscopy, right? The anchor didn't even see anything unusual, but surprisingly, you could see me at the edge of the screen through that blurry front-facing camera, crossing the anchor's face. If you're chasing celebrities, you should be more serious. When the host is live streaming, you should take a closer look at their face. What are you doing outside the screen if you have nothing to do? At this moment, Lu Zhixing wished he could immediately jump into Su Jing's phone screen, find those few reminders, delete them, and then follow the internet cable to find the netizen's permanent ban. But it's no longer possible. Su Jing has already approached Lu Zhixing with a curious face on her phone. There really is someone. Why didn't I notice before? Su Jing's face was filled with a shocked expression, mixed with a hint of fear. Because she really didn't notice someone standing in the tree pit just now. At this moment, upon closer inspection, I realized how eerie this scene was. In the evening park, in a rarely visited corner, a person wearing a hoodie and a mask, covering themselves tightly, was standing in a tree pit in a strange posture, not knowing what he wanted to do. Quietly get closer, I can't see clearly. It's better not to get close. What if it's a pervert or a mental illness? It's okay, run quietly and fast, perverts can't catch up. Someone in the barrage has already started to stir up fire based on the principle of not being too big for the show. Su Jing leaned closer and tentatively asked, "Hello, do you need any help?" At this moment, Lu Zhixing's heart was filled with 10,000 grass and mud horses rushing past. Get lost. You hurry up and leave is the greatest help for me. But he can't say anything because at this moment he's playing the role of the big tree, and the big tree can't speak. Of course, he can also interrupt the play, but doing so may result in the progress bar being reset and recalculated, which is completely unacceptable. Moreover, there is a possibility of being disturbed by other tourists in the future, so we can't stop every time to explain, can we? And how to explain it? I'm playing the role of a tree, please don't disturb me. The more you explain, the more awkward it becomes. So the best way at this point is to not respond and wait for the other party to leave on their own. Su Jing moved closer and finally, with the dim light of the street lamp, she saw that under the shadow of the duckbill cap, the other person's eyes were open. Ah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. Su Jing was momentarily hesitant and apologized eagerly. However, in the next second, she realized that although the other person's eyes were open, their gaze did not focus on herself. Instead, it seemed like they had entered a state of forgetting things and me. Their gaze diverged, as if they had seen through the changes in the situation and the warmth and coldness of human relationships in a state of not liking things or feeling sad for themselves. And at this moment, Su Jing finally understood why she didn't notice the other person at first. Because this person seemed to blend naturally with the environment, like a tree, not abrupt at all. At this moment, a gentle breeze blew by. The nearby trees gently brushed, accompanied by the rustling sound of leaves. And Lu Zhixing also gently shook his body, with movements almost identical to those of other trees. Ah! Can we say? Is this person engaged in performance art? Is he imitating the big tree? Su Jing felt like she had discovered a new continent in an instant, and finally all the strange phenomena just now had a reasonable explanation. All the previous fears disappeared, and there was even a hint of reverence. As a broadcaster who constantly learns how to create program effects, she envies people who are naturally capable of manipulating them. Moreover, most live streamers do their live streaming in front of the camera. Rather than showing the audience how to play with monkeys, is it true that monkeys are also playing with the audience? But this person, even though no one is watching, is still diligently working on it, undoubtedly elevating his level and level. If this person is not mentally ill, he might be a genius. She just didn't know, and at this moment, Lu Zhixing just wanted to quickly find a stone crack to drill in. He wished he could immediately jump up and pat Su Jing's phone on the ground, then loudly ask. Are you polite? But he cannot, because he is now a tree. Then. Continue, I won't disturb you. Finally, after satisfying her curiosity, Zhixing finally decided to turn around and leave. Just walking back and forth, looking quite reluctant. Zhixing continued to play the role of the big tree in place, and after more than 10 minutes, the progress bar in his field of vision finally reached 100%. Who? Zhixing quickly jumped out of the tree pit, then chose the opposite direction to Zhixing, lowered his head, and walked quickly towards the exit of the park. He doesn't want to stay in this place that makes people die for a second. I hope the rewards this game gives me can make up for the trauma my soul has suffered. Returning to the internet cafe, Zhixing took off his mask and hat, feeling like he had regained his life. Brother Lu Mingyuan hasn't returned yet, probably because the dinner with the game company's promotion manager hasn't ended yet. Zhixing arrived at the miscellaneous room on the second floor to confirm the completion of the role-playing task. The main storyline play task has been completed, reward. Materials. Trees on the wilderness, 200 points. The trees on the field. What kind of material is this? The next second, a picture came to Zhixing's mind. This is a vast wilderness, with hills, rivers, green grass weaving, butterflies dancing, the sky shining brightly, and a gentle breeze. However, there will also be various changes in this scene. The weather is unpredictable, sometimes with sudden winds and rain, and after a period of time, it may rain and become clear again. In addition, there will also be various small animals randomly appearing. Obviously, this is a very complete dynamic game scene. In addition, one of the trees also has a highlight effect. Its precision is significantly higher than other materials. After zooming in, Zhixing can see every grain of bark on this tree and clearly see the slight swaying dynamics of leaves under the gentle breeze. Zhixing remained silent and said, "Is that all?" End of this chapter. Chapter 3 Game Name. Zen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Game Name. Zen. Zhixing could hardly restrain his roast impulse. I played a tree, and then the material really only gave me a tree. What game can I play with this tree alone? Please be patient, players. You can also consume points to obtain materials in real life, or purchase materials directly from the game's material library. However, the latter will have a higher price. Upon hearing this, Zhixing nodded and said, "That's right. I don't just have one tree, I still have 200 points. I don't know how the prices in the material library are. If these points can buy a lot of resources, then the misunderstanding will be resolved." A new interface appeared in Zhixing's field of vision, but nothing was currently displayed on the interface, only a search box. This should be the material library that comes with life play games. Zhixing thought for a moment and casually entered a keyword. Prison. With a swoop, the interface displays several different styles of prisons, including domestic, foreign, modern, ancient, and some fantasy styles, all of which are available. Zhixing casually opens a foreign-style prison, which looks very similar to the style of some jailbreak-themed movies or dramas. Here, you can also customize the size of the prison, add new functional areas, and even customize prisoners or guards with different appearances. On the contrary, only a small portion of the area can be selected. The larger the size, the more customization content, and the more expensive the price. If you want the entire prison template and all the configurations are fully loaded, the displayed point price is 80,000. Zhixing was shocked and looked at his pitiful 200 points, feeling momentarily speechless. This is too expensive. I have to play Big Tree 400 times to afford it. Although the content of this prison template is very comprehensive, as long as you buy it, you can directly create a prison escape puzzle game, but the price makes Zhixing hesitant. Purchasing resources directly from the material library is a faster way and therefore more expensive. Players can also consider using materials in real life, as the points consumed will be greatly reduced. Zhixing suddenly said, I see. Directly purchasing materials consumes more points than obtaining them in real life, but it is more convenient and suitable for some scenes that are difficult to obtain in real life. For example, this prison scene is not very convenient to draw materials from in reality. Can't we personally experience it in Orange? At this time, purchasing directly with points is much more cost-effective. Of course, it may be more cost-effective to find an outsourcing team to produce relevant materials in reality, provided that you have money. Okay, then I'll try the sampling function again. If 200 points can draw inspiration from many things, then it's also acceptable. Zhixing walked out of the miscellaneous room and turned his gaze to the entire second floor of the internet cafe. The next second, an explanation appeared in his field of vision. Materials. Internet cafe. Spend 10,000 points to purchase an internet cafe template. This template includes the vast majority of materials related to the internet cafe, including the overall structure of the internet cafe, different decorative styles, computers, tables and chairs, store staff, including models and various actions, and other related content. Zhixing carefully counted the zeros after one and fell silent again. It's really much cheaper. What a ghost. This is what you call significantly reducing points consumption. With 10,000 points, you still have to play the role of a big tree 50 times to afford it. Zhixing looked at his pitiful 200 points and deeply felt what it meant to be shy in the bag. Only 200 points in total, I can't buy any large-scale materials. In terms of the size of a game, it's not enough. Moreover, this game has not released any new role-playing tasks for me, which means even if I want to continue playing the role of Big Tree and score points, it is impossible. Previously, there was no money, but now there are no points and no money. Feeling uncomfortable. Zhixing was somewhat discouraged, but he was not someone who gave up easily. We cannot be defeated by difficulties, we must overcome them if there are difficulties, and we must overcome them even if there are no difficulties created. Oh no, it should be because there are no conditions to create conditions to go. To create a game with the limited resources at hand, it is necessary to make use of the material from that tree. According to the pricing of the mall, the material from this tree is probably worth at least a few hundred points, which is the most valuable material I currently have. In addition, whether it is purchasing or sampling, narrowing the scope can also significantly reduce the required points. What kind of game can we play with these limited resources? Zhixing fell into contemplation. In fact, life play games are not Zhixing's only golden finger. He also has an invisible golden finger, which is his past life experience. In his past life, he was a functional planner for a gaming company. Although he was essentially a bricklayer, his years of experience in gaming companies have allowed him to understand games beyond most people. Moreover, he is a traveler who has seen many excellent works of art in that world, and this perspective can have a negative impact on the designers of this world. Got it. Zhixing's spiritual light flashed and he had an idea. He thought of several very famous games from his past life, known as the four great works of Steam, each of which could be considered a heavyweight individually. And some of these games can be made using the materials in his hands. Of course, the popularity of these games has a certain chance factor, and in order to make their success inevitable in this parallel world, some small adaptations need to be made. Thinking of this, Zhixing immediately began preparing for the game production. First, find the prison template you have seen before in the mall, and then limit the scope to a very simple prison cell. The original selling price of the entire prison template was 80,000 points, but it was limited to just one cell. Due to the lack of any other materials except for bare walls and floors inside, only 70 points can be earned. Later, Zhixing went out again, left the internet cafe, took a bus to the old city area, and found a stone bridge. I spent 110 points to collect materials from this stone bridge and some of the surrounding scenery, such as the flowing water under the bridge and the surrounding scenery. With 20 points left, Zhixing wandered around the mall again and found that some basic functions were very cheap. Therefore, he bought a simple music game function. Players can play different notes by pressing the button. It is normal for this feature to sell cheaply. After all, in reality, people with some programming skills can create it without pressure in the editor. After collecting the materials, Zhixing returned to the internet cafe, put on the VR game helmet again, and entered the editor. After a brief search in the build.in material library of the editor, I didn't see the materials I had previously purchased. From the current situation, it seems that they only exist in Zhixing's mind. Can you say? Zhixing naturally had a bold idea. He opened the built.in image drawing and model making tools in the editor, trying to awaken the incredibly clear materials in his mind. The next second, something magical happened. He actually started making models at an extremely fast speed. At this point, Zhixing was like being hosted, transforming into a humanoid printer and moving those materials into the editor in an incredible way. Every detail is accurate and efficient. Of course, due to the intricate texture details of the material itself, such as that tree, the difficulty of drawing is similar to hand drawing a super realistic painting in reality. In this humanoid printer state, it still takes several hours for Zhixing to transport all these models and textures. But this is already a very exaggerated speed. If the same material is handed over to a professional art team for production, it still takes several days to complete even with proper division of labor. When Zhixing moved all the prepared materials into the editor, he looked at the time and found that it had been over 6 hours. It's already late at night now. I see, Life Play Game will imprint all these materials in my mind and give me the ability to create them. That is to say, the materials I obtain in reality can be transported to the editor for a certain amount of time, and then made into a game and distributed to the virtual world. I just don't know if there will be more labor-saving and faster transportation methods in the future, which is really tiring. Continuous high-intensity work for over 6 hours made Zhixing feel mentally dull and indescribable exhaustion. He originally intended to take a break and officially start game production after waking up tomorrow, but on second thought, he decided to finish it all in one go. Because the game he wants to create this time is not complicated in itself, it should take 1 or 2 hours to complete. Moreover, completing the game earlier allows for early submission for review and early listing to earn money. Zhixing began to organize, categorize, and stitch these materials together to create a game. If there are others watching at this moment, their faces will definitely be filled with shock. What is this doing? The game materials of Zhixing cannot be said to be unrelated, it can only be said to be completely unrelated. A single cell in a prison cell, a wilderness, a tree, a stone bridge, no matter how you look at it, you can't even hit it with 8 sticks. But there's no way, Zhixing only has these resources at hand now. In fact, he originally intended to use that wilderness to create a hunting simulator or fishing simulator, but after a brief study, he found that he couldn't afford gun templates or create complex gameplay for hunting or fishing, so this idea had to be abandoned. As for the game that Zhixing wants to do now, perhaps there will be billions of pitfalls, but it is already the optimal utilization of these materials. Moreover, there is a chance for it to become popular, although this opportunity is not very significant. Unconsciously, another hour has passed. Great success. Zhixing finally breathed a sigh of relief, and he finally checked to ensure that the game fully realized his original idea. Later, he saved the project files and generated 2 different versions, the regular version and the VR version, respectively. Anyway, it doesn't take much effort, just one more version will increase the chances of success. If the game can become popular, Zhixing doesn't mind releasing the mobile and console versions later. Finally, it is necessary to give this game a name. Zhixing thought for a moment and filled in the name and introduction that he had already thought of, which looked a bit convoluted. Game name. Zen. Game introduction. Everything has its way, like dreams and bubbles, like dew and electricity, one should act accordingly. Game price: 5 yuan for PC version and 10 yuan for VR version. After a final inspection and confirming that there were no issues, Zhixing submitted for review. Then he exited the virtual world, took off his gaming helmet, simply washed himself up, and lay on the marching bed, falling asleep. The next noon, Zhixing woke up in the storage room on the second floor of the internet cafe. Last night, I breathed out the game in one breath, which consumed a lot of brain cells, to the extent that Zhixing is still a bit confused now. Hungry, Zhixing went to the restroom of an internet cafe and simply washed his face. He then went to the front desk to buy a bucket of instant noodles and added a grilled sausage. Then he found a computer in the corner and searched for the keyword Zen in the game mall. Soon, the game he made yesterday actually appeared in the search results. The auditing speed in this world is quite fast. If it can be found, it means it has already passed the review. However, so far, it is still in a completely ignored state. No clicks, no sales, no reviews. A reliable 3-no product. It's too unreliable to rely on natural exposure. This is also within Zhixing's expectations. Games like this that are so simple and even some of the pitfalls have already passed the review process, and it is almost impossible to obtain official recommended resources. Without initial exposure, there is naturally no possibility of any explosive growth in the future. If we keep waiting like this, I don't know if we'll have to wait for a monkey year or a horse month. Perhaps even if the internet cafe goes bankrupt, there won't be a first player. We need to find a way. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. First Victim. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. First Victim. Zhixing has always been a very proactive person. Once he decides to do something, he will definitely take the initiative instead of passively waiting for opportunities. But in this situation, how can we take the initiative to attack? Game channel resources are a very rare and precious resource, whether in previous lives or in this world. Companies that control channels can almost be said to be lying down and making money, and it is obvious that Zhixing cannot have such resources. After thinking for a moment, he opened the video website to search for the game roast program, and then found several big up owners with millions of fans. There is also Zhixing, whom he ran into in the park that night. Upon seeing Zhixing's account, Zhixing felt a thump in her heart and almost clicked on her live broadcast replay with the determination to die. As expected, there is a section in the park. However, after experiencing some awkwardness of toe picking, Zhixing found that this little episode did not attract much attention and only became a low popularity meme among Zhixing's fan base, with no signs of breaking through the discussion circle. Moreover, the scene at that time was relatively dark, and Zhixing's phone camera pixels were not particularly high, so no one should be able to recognize it as Zhixing. Fortunately, it's okay. I won't die in society. President Liu Ji took a breath and decided to find ways to keep a distance from this anchor in the future. It's best not to see each other again in this lifetime. After such a screening, Zhixing quickly selected an initial list of victims from these million fan-up owners. Then, he began to search for the contact information of these people. Most up hosts have contact information for business cooperation on their homepage, but it is clear that Zhixing does not have the money to engage in any business cooperation with them. He is looking for a fan group. Quickly, Zhixing searched through the introductions and updates of these up owners and successfully found the fan groups of 3 of them, disguising themselves as fans and adding them. Open 3 chat windows and patiently wait for the appearance of the up host. Although there are many fish in the group, fishing for others is meaningless. We still have to wait for the up host himself, this big fish, to surface, and then one rod will determine the world. After several hours of patient waiting, Zhixing squatted from noon to evening and finally saw the up owner bubbling in one of the groups. The ID of this up host is Wandering Cowherd, with the real name Lu Yang, affectionately referred to by fans as Brother Cowherd. He has over 1.3 million fans on the Zhixing video website and can be considered a well-known and influential game zone up owner. Zhixing is very satisfied. Sure, the first victim is you. As soon as Liang started to bubble, the group immediately became lively. Hey, are we going to start the live broadcast now? What game is playing today, Brother Nyo? Hurry up, my noodles are all soaked, we're waiting for your live broadcast to finish. Most UP hosts mainly focus on making videos, and live streaming often has low popularity. However, Liang seems to be an outlier, and his live streaming is also quite popular. He often makes it to the top 10 in the live streaming section of Zhixing video. This is more in line with Zhixing's ideal image of a perfect victim. Dog group leader, wandering cowherd. I don't know. Let's go to the official platform to check if there are any new games and randomly select a lucky game to flip the brand. Right now. Zhixing seized the opportunity decisively, and at the moment he spoke, he also uttered the words he had already typed in the chat box. This can maximize the visibility of UP users. Brother Nyo, I strongly recommend the new game, Zen. This game is particularly fun, full of philosophy, and has a rich content of puzzle solving. After playing it, you can watch at least one episode of a million views video. In fact, to ensure that the UP owner can see it, it is best to send the same information multiple times. But in most groups, screen scrolling is a violation, and it can easily backfire, so Zhixing only posted it once and patiently waited afterwards. Fortunately, this sentence was not drowned out in the chat and farting of group friends, but successfully took away the topic. Zen. Is this the game name? Why haven't you heard of it before? It's an independent game, right? Rich in philosophy. Rich in puzzle-solving content. What type of game is it? Art. Room escape. Many people in the group were aroused with curiosity. After a while, Liang spoke up and said, "Okay, take note. Let's start broadcasting and play later." Not bad, still a popular UP owner. In fact, these few words from Zhixing have been carefully crafted. Fun represents the fun of the game, philosophical represents the spiritual connotation of the game, and puzzle-solving content can easily stimulate the UP owner's desire for challenge. The most important thing is the last sentence, at least one episode of a million played video can be watered down, which is an irresistible temptation for UP owners. Of course, the real situation of this game, it can only be said that it is best not to believe the words of the water friends in the group, otherwise the anchor will experience the danger in people's hearts. Zhixing opened the live broadcast room on the computer and patiently waited. Whether this game can become popular or not depends on this. Moo. Brothers, I'll be spicy. Today, let's go find a few new games to play. Let me take a look. Let's first play the game recommended by the group. What is it called? Oh yes, Zen. Liang has started broadcasting, and his voice is quite distinctive and recognizable, which is an important bonus for UP hosts and anchors. In addition, understanding how to create program effects and a unique sense of humor is also essential. Audiences rushed in one after another, and the popularity of the live broadcast room quickly began to steadily increase, and various gifts began to be showcased. Under the attention of his fans, Liang opened the official game store and searched for the keyword Zen. Ah! This game doesn't even have any reviews. It's a new game, it's a bit too new, isn't it? He was a bit confused and turned to read the game introduction hoping to get more information, but this did not solve his doubts, but instead made him even more confused. All things that are done are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and shadows, like dew and electricity. What should we observe? Good guy, he's quite good at making things mysterious. Okay, let's download and play it. According to our group members, this game is full of philosophy and rich puzzle-solving content. Hopefully, our group members won't deceive anyone. There are two versions of the game, namely PC version and VR version, with prices of 5 yuan and 10 yuan respectively. Before determining the selling price, Zhixing also referred to the average price of this world game. The pricing of games like this Pit Father game cannot be too high. If it exceeds 30, it is considered a clear bargain and cannot achieve the goal of small profits and high sales. The price of 1 yuan is too low, and if the game really goes viral, it will seriously affect profits. Overall, the pricing of 5 yuan is just right. The VR version sells for 10 yuan, partly because the graphics are more refined, and partly because the pricing of VR games in this world is generally higher. After all, those who can afford the 5th generation VR helmet are all wealthy guys, and they are not short of this money. Of course, Luliang has a 5th generation VR game helmet, but currently, the live streaming technology of the 5th generation VR helmet is not mature, and the game library is not very rich. Therefore, his daily live streaming mainly focuses on PC games. Quickly, the game download is complete. At this point, Luliang clearly did not realize the seriousness of the problem and did not raise any alarm due to the small capacity of this game. This is also normal, after all, the capacity of the vast majority of independent games is very small. Click Start Game. The screen went black, but soon it lit up again. Without any logo or title interface, Luliang found himself directly entering the game. This game has a first-person perspective, where you can look down to see your prison uniform and look up to see the cold iron windows. The cold moonlight shone through the iron window, casting a small square on the ground, and the shadows of the iron fence were clearly visible. Ah! Luliang was confused, and his first reaction was that he had entered the wrong game. Isn't this game called Zen? How did it turn into tears in the iron window? Cut out the desktop and confirm the name of the program. That's right, is it Zen? Luliang had a vague guess that he seemed to have been deceived. However, as a well-trained anchor and up-host, he certainly wouldn't easily deny a game. At least he needs to experience it to see if it has any hidden secrets. Even if it is confirmed that it is based on defense, as a up-host, there should still be a great realization of indulging in conversation and laughter. Luliang's first reaction was to interact with the prison gate. However, his hands only pushed the door tightly and there was no response afterwards. Ha! Luliang didn't give up, he circled the entire prison cell again, clicking on every seemingly interactive corner, but the ending was still the same. There are no interactive options. Luliangren is numb. He thought there was a clue hidden somewhere in this cell, and he could find the key to the cell by following the clue, but after trying it out, he realized that it was entirely his own wishful thinking. Not really. On the barrage, the audience also began to feel a bit uneasy. What game is Nyoga playing today? Is it a prison simulator? Isn't this game called Zen? It's obvious that the product is not accurate, so it can also pass the review. Today's opening broadcast is Thunderstruck. Now we're almost at the stage of the junk game appreciation competition. Didn't this stage only appear in the midnight live broadcast before? At this moment, Luliang's heart was bewildered, with a feeling of being tricked by fan groups. But he did not give up, manipulating the characters to start a carpet search in the cell, not letting go of any clues. At least I need to figure out what this game is asking me to do first, right? Even if you are making a roast video, you must first understand the game. This is the professionalism of the up-owner in the game area. Finally, hard work pays off, and Luliang successfully found an inconspicuous painting on one of the walls. This painting is not big, with a frame only the size of a palm, and it is still in a dim corner. Luliang had been looking for the key with his head down before, so he ignored it. After moving the small dot in the center of the field of view, an interactive option appeared. Luliang couldn't help but feel excited and immediately clicked the mouse. Then, the characters in the game sat down. That painting appeared at the center of the character's field of view, and no matter how Lu Liang moved the mouse, the perspective remained unchanged. As for this painting, there is nothing special, just a tree. Lu Liang is a bit confused, but he still retains a hint of unrealistic fantasy about this game. Wait a moment, audience gentlemen, let's take a look. This game should have other interactive options, right? If you really can only go to jail, then this game should be called Prison Bottom Sitting Through. Since it is called Zen and has been approved, it means that its game content needs to have at least a slight connection with the title. No, I have to look again. Lu Liang is not discouraged. As a game zone up owner, perseverance is an essential quality. Ordinary players can be discouraged by the speed of light in the game of King Dad, but the up owner must have the ultimate realization of eating shit first and enjoying it later. After all, watching the up owner eat shit is also a great enjoyment for the audience. Lu Liang clicked the right mouse button to exit the observation mode of this painting and instead continued to explore the inside of the prison cell. As a result, he almost interacted with the entire cell one brick at a time, and there were really no interactive options. The only interactive option in the entire cell is really that painting. Is it? What clues to escape from prison are hidden in this painting? Lu Liang was completely at a loss. He clicked on the painting again and began to examine it. Well, a tree. A tree growing in the wilderness, neither tall nor short, neither thick nor thin, and without any distinctive features, is just an ordinary tree. There are red flowers and green grass on this, and the sunshine is bright, but there is no sign of any hidden puzzles. Lu Liang almost exerted all his strength to suckle, just like playing Let's Find Fault and staring at this picture, wanting to find any clues. 1 minute has passed. 2 minutes have passed. Lu Liang rested his hand on his forehead, lost in thought. He started thinking about life, oh no, thinking about tree life. What exactly is this situation? At this moment, the veteran game up owners over a decade of gaming experience seem to have completely returned to zero, arriving in a completely unfamiliar wilderness in the live broadcast room. A large number of bullet comments drifted by. Wow, the game's modeling is so intricate, why is the gameplay so disconnected? Commonly known as a defense packaged in gold foil. There's a grass moving in the corner on the left. Really? Don't lie, where's the grass moving? It's just a leaf falling off, haven't you seen it? Looking at the diverse barrage of bullets, Lu Liang felt very helpless. The trust between people. I'll let go of the game maker's tricks, but you fans have also tricked me. It's really unforgettable. Just as Lu Liang was about to give up by pressing Alt plus F4, a high-level barrage floated by. You said, is there a possibility that this game is not meant for you to solve puzzles at all? Seeing this barrage, Lu Liang was very dissatisfied. Impossible, absolutely impossible. According to this game process, how can we continue without solving the puzzle? There must be some triggering mechanism. Sleeping slot. Lu Liang wanted to refute this barrage, but the next second, the game screen unexpectedly changed. Originally, this picture only accounted for about 1/3 of the screen, but now it is rapidly expanding and gradually occupying the entire screen. And the tree in the painting has also changed from static to dynamic. The gentle breeze blows, the leaves rustle, and the warm sunshine falls, making people completely forget that they are in the painting, leaving only the natural and tranquil atmosphere of the wilderness. Lu Liang's gaze gradually froze, and after a long time, his voice filled with doubts came back from the live broadcast room. Ah! End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Mountain and Sheen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Mountain and Sheen. Even though Lu Liang is knowledgeable, he is still shocked by the brain circuits of this game at this moment. Why did you change the scene without any warning? The difference between these two scenes is quite significant. It can't be said that the association is not strong, it can only be said that it is completely unrelated. Prison and wilderness, I'm afraid no normal person would have expected them to be two closely related scenes. Of course, game developers seem to be well aware of this, so they placed a painting in the prison as a prelude to the transition. However, the problem is that this transition is still too rigid. Calm down, calm down. A professional up owner should be able to stay stable in any unexpected situation. Lu Yongping regained his emotions and continued to study this game. Looking at the benefits, at least smoothly entered the next scene without continuing to go to jail. This scene looks like a wilderness, very vast, and in any case, the degree of freedom should be much better than that cell, right? However, Lu Yang attempted to shake the mouse but found no response. What is the situation? Can we say? This is not a first-person perspective, but a third-person perspective. I am not someone who is observing this tree up close, am I, this tree? Daddy, this is it. Lu Yang was completely speechless. He was in prison before, and at least he could use the mouse to rotate his perspective. At least you can still press the 4 ASDW keys to walk around. Now it has turned into a tree, and the mouse has completely lost its response. What's even more frustrating is that this game doesn't have any operation prompts at all, and it all depends on the player to try which key can be pressed. Lu Yang has no doubt that some players may not understand the specific operation of the game until they press Alt plus F4 to exit. I thought I didn't need to go to jail anymore. Unexpectedly, it turned into a vegetative person. Lu Yang could hardly contain the burning fire of roast in his heart. He thought that he had already felt uncomfortable in prison before. He could not do anything except wandering around in the space of only a few square meters, but now he found that he was still too simple. Now it has turned into a tree, unable to even wander around. Lu Yang doesn't give up, should this thing be able to operate something. After trying it for a while, he finally found the only operation that can be done at the current stage. In the gentle breeze, he can press the A and D keys to make the tree sway gently with the wind, and at the same time, rotate it slightly at that throwing angle. Moreover, this operation requires attention. It must be swayed in the direction of the wind, otherwise the tree itself will not have any reaction, and subsequent rotation operations cannot be carried out. Only by accurately swaying with the wind can one rotate the lost angle and create a slight change in the scenery in one's field of vision. This meaningless operation once again made Lu Yang doubt his life. He really wanted to quit playing, but when he glanced at the barrage, he found that most of the audience was actually more interested. Don't quit, brother Nyo. Let's explore again. It feels like this game has a unique mind. Maybe there's something else we haven't discovered yet. That's right, brother Nyo. You are a up owner known for being diligent and eating shit. Even if you encounter junk games, you can't give up easily like this. You have to stick to your principles. Who said, no matter what kind of junk game it is, I will definitely pass back then? Lu Yang's mouth twitched slightly, and he vaguely realized that opening this game might have been a mistake. He did boast in his previous video that as an excellent game zone up owner, his biggest advantage is that no matter how junk a game is, he can persist in playing and completing levels. But now, this persona is seriously dragging him down. Lu Yang doesn't mind sticking with it for a while, but the problem is, he's not sure if this game has been cleared or not. What if I stare at the tree here for several hours and there is no clearance screen? Isn't that wasting one's life? At this moment, a paid barrage of 5 yuan caught his attention. Isn't it possible to make the tree rotate? What would happen if we tried spinning it once? Lu Yang's first reaction was that another troublemaker wanted to harm me. You should know that in order for the tree to rotate, it must be in a windy environment in the scene, and it must still rotate in the direction of the wind, with each rotation being very small. Based on the frequency of wind appearing in the same direction, it would take about 10 to 20 minutes to make the tree rotate once. 20 minutes left here to turn a tree. Is there any serious illness? Sure enough, my fans don't have a single good thing, they are all big spenders. Of course, Lu Liang wanted to ignore this paid barrage, but other viewers did not agree. Good idea. Take a spin. Yes, turn the tree around and take a look. Maybe there's another god unfolding. Watching the full-screen barrage being taken away by this paid barrage, Lu Liang felt like crying without tears. Even other wealthy audiences have started to brush up gifts, asking Lu Liang to rotate the tree around and study it. Lu Liang had no choice but to be dominated by the audience's elders and silently operate. This process is quite boring. He must always pay attention to the wind and grass in the scene. As soon as he hears the sound of the wind, he immediately distinguishes which direction the tree is blowing from by the shaking of the leaves. If it is in the correct direction, he can press the A or D keys to operate the tree to shake and rotate. So, his perspective gradually changed. I gradually saw the full picture of this wilderness. This tree is located on a hillside, with a vast sky on one side and a magnificent mountain on the other. After rotating it, one can truly see some different scenery. To be fair, this wilderness is quite finely crafted, with flowers and plants on the ground, dewdrops on the leaves, fluttering butterflies, and the chirping of birds in the sky, as well as the occasional appearance of various small animals. Taking out this scene alone and putting it in some 3A masterpieces won't feel out of place. But this actually made Lu Liang even angrier. Do you have such high-quality materials, and end up using them to make this kind of garbage game? What a waste. Finally, more than 20 minutes later, Lu Liang finally rotated the perspective of the tree once again, returning to the initial perspective. Alright, it's turned around and nothing happened. The audience should be satisfied now, right? Alright, that's all for this game. I'll go play other games. Sleeping slots. Lu Liang originally planned to leave without giving the audience any reaction time, but he didn't want the screen to be filled with barrage-like, spinning 3 more times, after a while. However, before he could even exit, he realized that the screen had really changed again. This tree is spinning on its own. Not only that, the camera is gradually zooming in, and the tree is becoming increasingly distant. The terrain that originally appeared flat up close also shows more and more obvious undulations when the perspective is zoomed in, gradually revealing the full view of the mountain. Until the entire mountain peak is fully visible. As for that tree, it had already become a few insignificant pixels on the mountain peak, completely indistinguishable in the forest. Not only that, but this mountain is also constantly and slowly spinning. Halfway up the mountain, the clouds and mist shrouded, giving off a feeling of immortality. Looking at everything in front of him, Lu Liang once again fell into a state of stagnation. Is there really a third chapter in this game? I really want to find the author of this game, pry his head open, and see what's inside. The barrage was also startled. They tricked Lu Liang into turning the tree, which was just a fire, but unexpectedly triggered some mechanisms of the game. Sleeping slot. After spinning around, there really is a change. Nyobi, I'm at a loss for words. I really like the host's sentence. Ah. So far, every operation in this game has been completely unexpected to me. Has it turned into a mountain that can spin on its own this time? Old cow, give it a try. Do you have any special operations? I inexplicably feel that this game. How to put it, the content is quite rich. Indeed, at first glance it looks like a garbage game, but after playing it for a while, I don't think it's a garbage game. But upon careful consideration, isn't this still a garbage game? Hurry up, you shouldn't be far from completing the level, come on. Lu Liang didn't expect that a good garbage game would turn into a puzzle game. Not to mention, at the beginning, that mischievous water friend was not really a scam. This game does have puzzle elements, but the way he solves the puzzle caught Lu Liang off guard. But no matter what, we have already played here, and there is no reason to give up halfway. Lu Liang tidied up his mood and continued to study how to play with this mountain. First, I rotated the mouse, but there was no response. Then pressed the ASDW key. This time, the A and D keys no longer control the rotation of the screen, but have become a brand new operation that Lu Liang did not expect. Playing pleasant notes. And it's not just these keys, most other keys on the keyboard can also pop up different notes. A piano has 88 keys, with 108 keys being the most common keyboard. Excluding the keys related to system functions, it can perfectly fit the 88 keys of a piano. Of course, there is no specific prompt in the game for which key corresponds to which note, and it all depends on the player's own exploration. What about an 87-key or even 61-key keyboard? Of course it's cold dishes. When Zhixing was playing games, he didn't even consider these things. After all, this playing function was originally an addition to the game, not an important gameplay. After trying to press a few keys, Lu Liang said somewhat incredulously, "So, has this game become a piano simulator again?" In fact, there have been software that uses keyboards to simulate piano keys for a long time, and there are many experts online who can really use keyboards to play world-famous songs. After all, for real big shots, they can play with a few old-fashioned calculators, let alone keyboards. But make this thing into the game. This is really Lu Liang's first encounter. Okay, it seems that I can't hide my identity as a piano master. Now let's play a song for the audience in the live broadcast room. Lu Liang sat upright on the esports chair, raised his hands, and lightly tapped the keyboard in the posture of a pianist starting to play. The familiar melody sounded in the live broadcast room, accompanied by Lu Liang singing like a cow. Two tigers, running fast. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Every step of this game is unexpected. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Every step of this game is unexpected. Lu Liang has no doubt that if it were some real experts, they should be able to play this feature to the fullest. But he is not. So he can only play childhood classics such as One or Two Tigers, Ode to Joy, and Little Star, and it's easy to make mistakes. As for the barrage in the live broadcast room, it has once again reached a climax. Anchor. My own person, don't speak up. Where did the cow come from? Without any skills, it's all about emotions. So this game, after all the hard work and effort, is it just for playing the piano here or playing the piano to a cow? Will this core gameplay be hidden too deep? Yeah, first you have to focus on that painting, then you have to rotate that tree, and finally you can play the piano. I think if this game were to be played directly using a piano simulator, maybe you could make a little more money. Now. Who said playing the piano is the core gameplay? I think you're too naive, maybe there's another stage. Yes, there must be another stage. Anchor, I have received reliable information from within the game company. The trigger for the next stage is to play a Wild Bee dance, please. Wild Bees dancing +1, Wild Bee dance +10086, Lu Liang almost lost his temper, he is not lacking in morality. I can't even play Two Tigers skillfully, and I still play Wild Bees dancing. I don't know if wild bees fly or not, but I am quite useless. At this stage, Lu Liang doesn't even know how many insiders there are in his audience. He highly doubted that the fan recommended in the initial group, the audience who posted advanced bullet comments to show him his paintings, and the person who paid bullet comments to turn him around should be the same person. But he has no evidence. But now, it is completely impossible for Lu Liang to uncover the insider, because the entire live broadcast room has been assimilated. This mysterious person only spent 5 yuan to bring the rhythm, and then, after the incident, he went to brush his clothes and hide deep in his name. There are bad people in the live broadcast room. Lu Liang was full of confidence, but there was no other way. The audience had already developed a strong interest in this junk game, and he could only search for some music scores on the internet that he could understand according to the audience's requirements. Then, he returned to the game and tried to play them hard. Starting today, I have to go to the bathroom by myself. Mom and Dad, don't underestimate me. What is Dad's name? Dad's name is Grandpa. The audience in the live broadcast room couldn't hold their breath anymore. Amidst the laughter on their faces, Lu Liang's live broadcast room soared in popularity. Alright, audience gentlemen, the anchor is really lacking in skills. These are all the songs I can master. As for wild bees dancing or something, the anchor really can't do it. At this moment, Lu Liang had already watched the mountain spinning in front of him for almost half an hour, feeling that the whole world was spinning around. However, the audience has not yet shown any signs of letting him go, still asking him to continue exploring the mountain or try playing various different pieces to see if there is still a fourth chapter in the game. Lu Liang felt somewhat helpless and could only explain to the audience with a serious heart, based on my years of gaming experience and rational analysis, this game should come to an end. From the prison simulator to the big tree simulator, and then to the big mountain simulator, especially with the final piano playing simulator, I think even if the game author's brain circuit is so special, their imagination should be exhausted. The ending of this game is quite good right here. If you really enjoy playing, you can continue playing the piano here. Players like me can also exit after experiencing it. After careful persuasion, the audience in the live broadcast room finally gradually changed their minds and agreed to Lu Liang's request to change the game. However, just as Lu Liang wanted to click Alt plus F4 to exit the game screen changed again. Playing music in a mountain scene for a period of time really takes the game to the fourth chapter. This transition is different from the previous one. Lu Liang's vision gradually narrowed, but this time he was no longer staring at the tree, but came to the mountaintop, where there was a large stone with sharp edges. This big stone rolled off the mountain for some reason and smashed towards the foot of the mountain with a thud. Then, the weather suddenly changed, as if the flow of time had become faster and time had been stretched out. At the foot of the mountain, there are many small people moving around this big stone, climbing and hitting it like ants, back and forth. However, at this moment, Lu Liang's perspective was still on the mountain, and he could only vaguely see these ant-like little people moving around, but could not see the specific details. Later, distant places gradually lit up with lights and smoke from cooking. The screen gradually turned black, and when it lit up again, he was surprised to find that he had turned into a stone bridge. A stone bridge that is ordinary but looks very dated. When the sky is clear, tourists enjoy the nearby scenery on the stone bridge and children play. When it rains, pedestrians walk on the stone bridge with umbrellas. But this time, both the mouse and keyboard have lost their function, unable to rotate or move, and can only watch pedestrians coming and going on the stone bridge from a fixed perspective. Many times, there are even no pedestrians, only the flowing water under the bridge is washing away the bridge piers, making a clattering sound. Lu Liang was completely shocked. I never expected that such a game would really be divided into 4 chapters. After being shocked, there was an indescribable calmness in his heart. Yes, I have become a stone bridge, yes, I can't even move my perspective. But so what? My heart has become incredibly calm, like flowing water under a bridge, with no more waves. Finally, after looking at this stone bridge for a long time, a small prompt button appeared on the screen, indicating that the player can press the ESC button. Lu Liang didn't even notice it at the first time, it was the barrage reminder that he realized it. When he pressed ESC, the pop-up was not the main menu or settings interface of the game, but a simple option bar containing 4 different scenes that had appeared in the game. Prisons, trees, mountains, bridges. Each scene is also accompanied by graphics, allowing players to have a clear understanding at a glance. Clicking on any of the options will naturally switch the scene. And then, there was no more after actively switching, there is no time limit, and there are no longer specific triggering conditions to switch scenes like at the beginning. As long as the player is willing, they can stay in a specific scene all the time. Lu Liang finally confirmed that the game seemed, perhaps, possibly, to have really passed. This is a bit too casual, isn't it? It's okay if there's no clearance interface. I've wasted so much time, haven't the game developers even said a word of mockery? Ah, it's smaller, the pattern is smaller again. How could such a zen-filled game mock me? Lu Yang calmly exited the game and then went to the details page of the store, decisively giving a special review. What did the fan in the group say? This game is rich in philosophy and puzzle-solving content. After playing it, you can watch at least one episode of a million views video. After completing this game, Lu Yang recalled these words and suddenly felt that this person had not really deceived him. Is it rich in philosophy? After playing, will it make people think about life? Is the puzzle-solving content very rich? Does each scene have a different way of solving puzzles? Is it possible to watch $1 million video in one episode? There's really nothing wrong with it. But when it was time to write game reviews, Lu Yang had run out of words. What comment should I write? To be honest, this game can tell a lot, but at this moment, 1,000 words cannot be spoken, as if the whole person has been filled with Zen meditation and has completely lost the desire to express themselves. After a long period of hesitation, Lu Yang wrote 4 big characters in the evaluation column. I'm SB. The audience in the live broadcast room are laughing crazy. They haven't seen such a fun and effective game like this in a long time. How did you come up with it? Is the game producer's brain still functioning properly? Seeing Lu Yang withdraw from the game and give special praise, many viewers are still reluctant to give up. Don't give up, old cow. How can you be sure that this game has been cleared? What if the designer is deceiving you with that interface? Yeah, just think about every scene transition before, there must be other scenes later. I guess it's very likely that by re-experiencing the 4 scenes in a certain order, you can activate the 5th scene. I suddenly thought of a sentence. I am willing to transform into a stone bridge, to be blown by the wind for 500 years, sun for 500 years, and rain for 500 years, only asking her to walk on the bridge. Oh. Got it. Does that mean that by staring at this stone bridge for 500 years, you can have a beautiful girl walk across the bridge? That makes sense. Perhaps this girl can move on to the next scene after walking over. Hey, do you think there might be some inappropriate content for children? With the urine-like nature of this game, I think it's very likely. After all, you never know what the next scene will be. I can't just be blind with such a good game, so I'll recommend it to other anchors. Yes, I'm going to place an order and make a purchase now. I must give it a special review. Looking at these sand sculpture bullet screens in the live broadcast room, Lu Yang was a bit amused. What kind of people are these? My fans are all wilting and not following me at all. However, after giving the evaluation, Lu Yang did not immediately play other games. Instead, he clicked on the game details page to view the author's information. Stranger. This is still his first game, there's something to it. Oh, located in Jinghai City. Jinghai deducts big points. Lu Yang didn't pay much attention either. Apart from the default location, there wasn't much to see in the author's profile, so he only remembered the name, Foreigner. At this moment, he was filled with a desire to share. I can't wait for the roast video that will be played by millions of people in the first issue of Water. Of course, before making the roast video, he needs to experience the VR version of the game. Then you can fully unleash your firepower on this game. End of this chapter. Why did Chapter 7 receive so many positive reviews? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why did Chapter 7 receive so many positive reviews? After the live broadcast, Lu Yang spent over 2 hours successfully completing the VR version of Zen. Because the live streaming function of VR games is not yet perfect, he can only leave the audience to eat alone. As for how to evaluate this VR version, it's not very different from the PC version, it's just the same. This gameplay hasn't changed at all. Originally, Lu Liang had some unrealistic expectations for the VR version of this game. After all, VR is now the 5th generation of VR technology, which can achieve conscious connection, meaning that players' operations in the virtual world are almost identical to those in the real world. Although this technology is still in development, there is currently no game that can achieve 100% realism and interact with everything in the game, but some games have begun to explore. For example, some of the latest shooting games have implemented a series of operations that are exactly the same as in reality, such as dismantling, loading, and even jamming firearms. Most games that have been released in the VR version will also utilize this consciousness connection technology to some extent, at least in terms of operation, making a significant difference from the PC version. Otherwise, why bother selling so much more expensive than the PC version? However, the producer of the game, Zen, had no such consciousness at all. The VR version of Zen has no unique design for the VR version, only rigidly copying the operations of the original PC version. For example, the chapter on Prison, which was originally about pressing the 4 keys of ASDW and moving the mouse's perspective, has now become a free movement for players. The chapter on Tree originally used to rotate the perspective by pressing the AD keys, but now it has become a game where players try to control their body movements to rotate the perspective. The chapter Mountain was originally about playing music with keys, but now a virtual semi-transparent piano keyboard has appeared in front of players to play music. Just highlight a violent transplant. Shamelessly selling it for 10 yuan, which is twice the price of the PC version. What about face? Of course, if you insist, this 10 yuan cannot be considered a loss of blood. After all, the materials of this game are really highly accurate. The VR version is even more obvious. It should be noted that VR games connected by consciousness require much higher accuracy in materials than PC versions. The technological level of this world is developing rapidly. In the PC version, 4K resources have completely replaced 1080p as standard equipment, but in the VR version, 4K is far from enough. To truly achieve an effect that is difficult to distinguish between real and fake, even with the use of real-time focused rendering technology, a resolution of 16K and a frame rate of 240 are still required to fully achieve the effect of blurring truth from falsehood. For VR helmets that use the 5th generation consciousness connection technology, the hardware level has been achieved, but there are still many game developers whose materials and resources have not reached the standard. Therefore, many VR games on the market still feel awkward to play. However, the game Zen has no dull feeling at all, which indicates that its VR version materials are ultra-high definition, enough to instantly kill most of the old VR games on the market. Okay, we can almost make a final decision on this game. So the question is, which category should I put it into? This is about my prediction accuracy and 10,000 yuan. As a well-known up host in the game area, Lu Liang has many different columns to introduce different types of games. The two most popular columns are visually want to be hot and sooner or later want to be cool. As the name suggests, the former is used to introduce potential new games with innovative gameplay and high praise, and is recommended. The latter is used to introduce those who play the game of Pit Father with little public praise, which is roast to. In fact, it doesn't make much difference to the audience which column it is placed in, and many viewers may not even pay much attention to what kind of title the up host has given. But for Lu Liang, it is important because the videos he makes are not only reviews, but also predictions. Lu Lianghui released the video as soon as the game was released, and predicted the sales and reputation of the game. Moreover, in order to make this prediction more exciting, Lu Liang also added a bonus. If the prediction fails once, he will draw a prize of 10,000 yuan from his own pocket to give back to his fans. Playing is just an excitement. This behavior carries high risks, but the returns are also high. It can make Lu Liang appear more professional than other game zone up owners. Previously, he successfully predicted the collapse of several major games and the popularity of several niche independent games, attracting many fans and earning the title of Prophet. So what will be the reputation and sales of the game, Zen? If both sales and word of mouth are good, then it should be placed in the visually popular column, and vice versa, it should be placed in the sooner or later cool column. After some consideration, Lu Liang finally made a decision. It should still be placed in the sooner or later it will cool down column. Although this game is a bit innovative, it doesn't look much different from other Pit Dad games, does it? The sales volume will definitely not be very high, and the reputation will at most be mixed, with a high probability of mostly negative reviews. Well, it shouldn't be wrong. After finalizing the tone and content of the video, Lu Liang immediately began editing it. What is the most important thing for up owners in the internet era? Speed. The same hot topic, whether it's early or late, can have a heat difference of several tens of times, which is known as, the early bird catches the worm. Lu Liang is also well aware of this, so he must create the video of Zen as quickly as possible. The editing software in this world is also very developed, not only with high-precision intelligent subtitles, but also with functions such as intelligent rough cutting. AI can directly recognize the material elements in the video and compare them with the keywords in the copy content, completing the initial rough cutting work. The popularization of this technology has caused many mediocre editors to lose their jobs, but it has also led to a qualitative leap in the work efficiency of up creators. Lu Liang pondered, staying up all night before going to bed today, cutting out the video and posting it, and it will be automatically reviewed and published when he goes to bed. Although it will be roasted by the audience that late-night updates murder fans, it doesn't matter. After all, it has become his personal design. The next morning, Lu Liang was awakened by his agent's phone call. Many big anchors and up hosts have dedicated agents, some arranged by companies, some arranged by video websites and live streaming platforms. These agents can also be regarded as operators, mainly responsible for daily work arrangements, channel resource coordination, and other work. Of course, in addition to that, there is also a very important job, which is to help the up owner organize activities, such as lucky draws. Lu Liang answered the phone in a daze, feeling dizzy due to lack of sleep. "Hello. What's wrong?" he said. The agent said, "Brother Lu, I have arranged the lottery event. If you have a look and there are no problems, I will hang it up." Lu Liang was originally confused, but when he heard these words, he woke up halfway and said, "Ah. Wait, what kind of lottery? When am I going to draw a lottery? Is it the video from yesterday? That's not right. How could the prediction in this video overturn? Can that junk game still receive more than half of the positive reviews? This is impossible." The agent explained, "That's the video you had yesterday. Oh, I won't say much, you can watch it yourself. Fans are all knocking bowls for you to draw." Lu Liang. He hung up the phone inexplicably and immediately found yesterday's video on his phone to check. Video title: "Sooner or later it will get cold. This is the most boring game I have ever played, simulating a tree and actually spending 5 yuan. Video views: 390000, with over 10,000 people watching. The data looks quite good. Hello dear breeders, I am your diligent old cow who updates 30 videos per month. Today I want to roast about a new game called Zen. The content of the video is not complicated. Lu Liang didn't think so much when he was making it. He just edited his live video to match his roast about the game and added some common video effects. The video barrage quickly drifted through various ha 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 and 23333, and the fun experiences of playing this game made the audience sit back and forth. Finally, it's time for a delightful review and prediction session. The art of this game is indeed good, especially in the VR version, where the accuracy of the materials is very high, but that's all. As a sand sculpture game, it can be considered to have a unique and excellent brain circuit, but from a normal gaming perspective, it is a bit unclear in meaning and not much fun. As for its artistic and profound content, I'm sorry, I haven't seen it at all. The vast majority of players probably wouldn't like such a game, let alone spend money on it. Therefore, I boldly predict that the final evaluation of the game, Zen, will be mostly negative, and its sales will not exceed 50,000. Whether it will be true, let's wait and see. At this point, the video has reached the concluding stage, followed by content such as chatting with fans and asking for likes. But just now, the progress bar shows that the barrage volume of this segment has reached the peak of the entire video. Hahaha, Brother Nyo is being careless. The forecast for this issue has been a big failure, and both sales and reputation have been predicted incorrectly. Still, mostly negative reviews. The positive reviews are overwhelming, I didn't expect it. Sales are completely wrong. This game has already made it to the top 10 independent game bestsellers on the official platform today. Brother Nyo's gold coins are exploding. Hurry up, knock on the bowl and wait for the lucky draw. Watching these barrage comments, Lu Yang fell into a state of confusion. What kind of thing? Is there a flood of positive reviews? This junk game received rave reviews on the official platform, and I ate this fish screen monitor on the spot. Lu Yang was very dissatisfied and immediately opened the official game platform to check. I almost couldn't believe my own eyes. What kind of thing? Why are there really so many positive reviews? Looking at sales again, surprisingly, it really entered the top 10 of the day's best-selling list. Can this be considered a double harvest in sales and reputation? Leaving the big spectrum. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Zen and the Triple Realm of Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, Zen and the Triple Realm of Life. Lu Yang was a bit crazy and said, "Isn't my identity as a prophet completely destroyed? I never thought that my reputation as an old cow would be ruined in such a garbage game. No, I can't figure out why this game has been highly praised." Predicting game reviews and sales has always been a retention program for Lu Yang's videos. Since he became the UP host, the overall prediction accuracy has reached 80%, and all 6 previous prediction videos have been successful. However, this time it capsized in the sewer. This made Lu Yang feel heartbroken, just like playing a chess game and happily enjoying the interest, but overturning the car in the last place, thinking it was a safe win. It's uncomfortable. Quickly, Lu Yang discovered something even more heart-wrenching than predicting failure. In the comments section of the video, the most popular long review has even more likes than his video. You should know that anyone who can see this comment must first click on this episode of the video. This also means that the audience's recognition of this comment is even higher than the content of Lu Yang's video. I used to strongly agree with Lao Nyo, but I can't agree with him this time. Yesterday, I saw Lao Nyo playing Zen. At first, I thought it was just an ordinary garbage game, but gradually, I realized that things didn't seem as simple as I thought, so I went to try it myself. After a deep experience, I understood why Lao Nyo's prediction failed. I also understood why this game received a lot of positive reviews. Because this game is not actually a junk game, but rather very philosophical, just like its name, it is full of Zen thinking. Lu Yang's mouth twitched slightly. What a ghost. Why is this game full of meditation and philosophy? Open your eyes and talk nonsense. Lu Yang was very dissatisfied and continued to read. When I first played this game, I also had the same question as everyone. What exactly is this game going to make me do? In the 4 chapters, we have different ways of action and different purposes. We have to play the roles of prisoners, trees, mountains, and stone bridges, and always remain in a state of restricted freedom. When playing the role of a prisoner, although our movement area is limited to 1 cell, we can at least move around and see where we are completely free. When playing the role of a tree, we cannot move, we can only shake and rotate our perspective slightly when it is blown by the wind, when we play the role of the mountain, we can't even move our perspective a little. We can only passively watch the mountain spin and play some notes that only we can hear ourselves. In the end, we became a stone bridge, unable to move or play notes, only able to remain motionless forever. From the perspective of freedom, our freedom is constantly limited and our mobility is constantly being deprived, which is clearly contrary to the attempts of general games to continuously improve player freedom. Why does this game have to do this? If it's just a randomly made junk game, then it can be developed and sold by splitting the 4 chapters into Prison Throat Simulator, Big Tree Simulator, Big Mountain Simulator, and Stone Bridge Simulator. Maybe that can deceive more people. But the producer combined these 4 chapters, named them, and arranged special transition animations. Obviously, this was intentionally done by the producer. After a deep experience, I believe that these 4 chapters are actually full of philosophy. Here, I will analyze them with my shallow knowledge. What this game is about is actually the triple realm of life. Seeing oneself, seeing heaven and earth, and seeing all living beings. At the beginning, we were just ordinary prisoners in prison, and our vision was limited to the narrow space in the cell, which was seeing ourselves. The only way we could escape from the cage was to gaze at the painting, free our thoughts from prison, and enter the world of that tree. That is to say, the second stage of the tree simulator is actually a prisoner's inner world, constructing a real wilderness in their own brain by gazing at that painting. And when it comes to the chapters of trees and mountains, it goes from seeing oneself to seeing heaven and earth. We not only see trees and mountains, but also start to think from the perspective of trees and mountains. We play the role of a big tree enduring wind, sun, and rain, and as we constantly rotate our perspective and expand our thoughts to the entire field, our thoughts will further open up, transforming from trees to mountains, and our behavior will also shift from the concrete act of rotation to the abstract act of playing notes. Our freedom of action is gradually being restricted, but our freedom of thought is constantly increasing. And from the mountain to bridge, it is seeing sentient beings. We see the big stone rolling down from the mountaintop. After being carved by people, it has become a stone bridge. Although the stone bridge cannot move, it can see the various states of sentient beings. During the previous live broadcast by Lao Nyo, a barrage mentioned that Shiqiao is actually a Zen-related illusion. I am willing to transform into Shiqiao and be exposed to the wind, sun, and rain for those 500 years, only asking her to pass through the bridge. Unfortunately, no one was able to continue interpreting along this line at the time. I don't think you can see a woman passing by just by hanging up here at Shiqiao. The game should not express small love, but great love, not a specific woman, but a multitude of people. Some people may ask, how was our physical condition in the end? How was the initial prisoner? You have already seen all sentient beings, is it still important to have a physical body? The 4 chapters of Prison, Tree, Mountain, and Bridge may seem unrelated, but upon closer inspection, one will find that they are all closely related to the theme of Zen. Of course, this is not to blame Lao Nyo. After all, the experience of this game is short, and the perception of the game varies from person to person. But on the other hand, why did Old Cow fail to predict? Why did this game receive a flood of positive reviews and still have considerable sales? This indicates that most players have also felt the kind of atmosphere I mentioned from this game. They may not be able to summarize these philosophies, but they can gain inner peace from the game. Don't assume that this game is useless just by completing the level in the cloud, because after playing it yourself, you will find that the graphics are very good, the materials are very detailed, and some thoughts can only be experienced by playing it in person. Is this game worth it? In my opinion, 5 yuan is simply worth it. Its scenery is beautiful, and its volume is much larger than ordinary small games. The 4-chapter transition is not like solving puzzles, but more like a change in thinking mode. It's really interesting to savor it carefully. This game only has a fixed playing time of 2 to 3 hours, and the longer you play it afterwards, the more you can get more thinking. In the minds of players who truly love it, this is no longer a game, but a beautiful artwork. Stop talking, I'll continue playing the role of the big tree. After reading this lengthy review of over 1,000 words, Lu Liang was shocked. Is this okay too? From the number of likes, it is obvious that everyone really agrees with this statement, and even many players who have played this game have expressed similar insights. Lu Liang continued to browse through more comments, as well as the comments section of Zen in the official store, but the more he read, the cooler his heart became. There are really positive reviews everywhere. Of course, some of these positive reviews are just following the trend, and watching the excitement is not a big deal, thinking that such a sand sculpture game must not be blind to me alone, it must be shared with more people. But there are indeed a large number of players who are not following the trend, but really find this game very fun. If it weren't for this group of people pushing up the positive review rate from the beginning, relying solely on these followers in the future would not have turned the game's rating into a flood of positive reviews. In the face of iron-like reality, Lu Liang also had to admit. He really predicted wrong. He originally thought that this game must have had mostly negative reviews, at most mixed with mixed reviews, and sales would definitely not be too high, but now he realizes he is completely wrong. Lu Liang could only silently prepare for the lottery event, while really starting to think about life because of this game. However, it's not about thinking about life in the game, but about thinking about life outside the game. How could this game possibly become popular? Is this foreigner really a game design genius? My 10,000 yuan. At this moment, in the Star Road Internet Cafe, Lu Zhixing was unaware that the poor victim Lu Yangjing was facing a crisis due to Zen, because after using this anchor to create initial popularity for the game, Lu Zhixing stopped paying attention. At this point, Lu Zhixing is more interested in game data. Sales and reputation are both good. Taking the risk of social death to obtain materials is worth it. So far, the PC version of this game has sold over 10,000 copies, while the VR version has sold less, but has also sold over 2,000 copies. As a newcomer creator, he has to split 50/50ths with the official platform, but even so, his estimated income is already close to 40,000 yuan. Moreover, this game has only been online for 2 days, and there will be a period of explosive popularity in the future. By doing so, achieving the goal of earning 100,000 yuan in a life play game should be within reach. And the production cost of Lu Zhixing is very low, without spending any money, just taking the risk of social death to play the role of a big tree. Having golden fingers is good. Lu Zhixing plans to save up a few more days and withdraw all this money to help his brother Lu Ming overcome difficulties. Although it is still not enough to completely change the fate of internet cafes, it is enough to let them persist for a longer period of time. This game is about to come to an end. Next, take a good class and accumulate inspiration. After earning 100,000 yuan, you can activate the official version of Life Play Game. Although the popularity of the game Zen has just begun to take off, for the producer Lu Zhixing, once the game is completed, launched, and made money, it can basically be turned over. This weekend, Lu Zhixing has been busy all day. First, he was busy gathering materials and making games, and then he was busy fishing in Lu Liang's live broadcast room. Oh no, promoting games passed in the blink of an eye. Tomorrow is Monday, he has to go back to class. Speaking of which, what do game design majors in this world learn? I'm quite curious. In the past life of Lu Zhixing, there was no game design major in universities, and even the esports major was only offered in a very small number of universities. But the situation in this world is different. Games are highly valued as an important cultural industry, and in universities, game design is even a popular major. Although Lu Zhixing was a dog planner in his past life, he was self-taught and learned the skills of writing design drafts in a game company, without much theoretical reserves. Coming into this world, I happen to be majoring in game design, so of course, I need to start from scratch seriously. After all, in his past life, he was a social animal who had achieved nothing. He finally crossed over and even brought his own golden finger. Of course, he must give his all to make a career. End of this chapter. Who is the author of Chapter 9, Zen? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is the author of Chapter 9, Zen? At 9 a.m. on Monday, Zhixing returned to his dormitory. The dormitory for freshmen majoring in game design at Qinghai University is located in Building 7, while the dormitory for Zhixing is on the 4th floor, with dormitory number 404. This dormitory number is not particularly auspicious, especially for gaming design majors. However, as a staunch materialist, Zhixing did not pay much attention to these things and instead felt that they were quite meaningful. When introducing to other classmates in this way, you can pat your chest and proudly say, "I'm from dormitory 404. It sounds quite emotional. There is only one professional class this morning, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., so students don't need to wake up early and can sleep until they wake up naturally before going to class calmly. The accommodation environment of Qinghai University ranks among the top among domestic universities, with 4-person dormitories, beds and desks, and new beds, desks, and cabinets. It is also equipped with air conditioning and television. Just this accommodation environment can attract many new students to apply every year. Hey, Brother Lu, early morning. I was afraid you might have forgotten class and wanted to call you. The speaker has a roadside face and wears round framed glasses. His name is Lu Bo, and he is the dormitory manager of room 404. He has a good relationship with Zhixing, is down-to-earth, hardworking, and versatile. He plays the guitar well. Zhixing threw the 3 pancakes in his hand and said, "You probably haven't had breakfast yet." This was bought by him on the way when he left the internet cafe in the morning and passed by the north gate of the school. Lu Botan smiled happily and said, "Brother Lu still understands us. Thank you very much." The other 2 roommates have also finished their tasks, each saying thank you and then taking the pancakes to eat. Looking at his 3 roommates, Zhixing couldn't help but sigh. The 404 dormitory is truly full of talented people. Apart from Zhixing and Lu Bo, the other 2 roommates are named Zhao Haoyan and Lve Xiao, respectively. Zhao Haoyan is tall and has well-developed motor cells, but unfortunately his brain is not very functional. Lve Xiao is a born comedian, with a very festive face and excellent eloquence. He has been selected for the debate team and can easily serve as the host. By the way, Brother Lu, what have you been busy with this weekend? Lu Bo asked while eating pancakes. Zhixing was tidying up the textbooks he needed for class on his desk. I went to my brother's internet cafe to help. What about you? Lu Bo looked at Zhao Haoyan, who was almost finished eating his pancakes, and said, "Old Zhao is playing games in his dormitory this weekend besides playing ball." Zhixing said, "Oh. Has Silver been promoted?" Lu Bo shook his head and said, "No, it's missing a paragraph." Zhixing was greatly shocked and said, "Ah. Bronze can still fall off the section. Isn't this the lowest level?" Lu Bo also couldn't help but feel uneasy. "Brother Lu, didn't you watch the news? The ranking system has been updated this weekend, and a new black iron rank has just been added. The official said that adjusting the ranking mechanism is to better segment the level, and it should be easier for ordinary players to score. That's why Lao Zhao played tirelessly for 2 days, but didn't expect." Zhao Haoyan's sorrow arose from this. "Stop talking. The official is targeting me." He turned his grief into appetite, took a bite of the remaining pancakes in his hand, and then drank them ton by ton from the kettle. Speaking of which, Lu Bo suddenly thought of something and looked at his watch, saying, "Oh, by the way, there must be a lot of people in today's professional class. Lao Zhao, you can help us occupy a seat first, and we will arrive later." Zhao Haoyan stood up and said, "All right. I will definitely occupy an excellent spot for our dormitory." After speaking, he left in a frenzy. Lu Bo smiled at LVE again and said, as for Mr. LV, he went to work as a wedding MC on the weekend and earned a lot of money. Let him treat him later. Lu Zhixing couldn't help but stand in awe and said, sure, Mr. LV, you can all be a MC now. The groom and bride don't have a smile when they look at your face, do they? Lu smiled a bit unhappy and said, what are you talking about? I'm a professional. The groom and bride looked at my face, of course. Lu Bo was a bit surprised and said, oh, isn't there really a laughing scene? Lve Xiao instantly broke through and said, of course it's a laughing scene. But it's okay, the wedding is all about celebration, and it also alleviates the tension between the groom and bride, so this is actually an advantage for me. Let's go to a restaurant tonight, I'll treat you. The price of a normal wedding MC is quite high, and the economic level varies in different regions. The most expensive MC can even earn several thousand yuan per event. But after all, Lve Xiao is still a college student, and the price of a guest MC is very low, usually fluctuating between 500 and 800. However, for students, this can still be considered a huge sum of money, which can help improve the food for the entire dormitory. Lu Zhixing looked at Lu Bo again and said, and you? Lu Bo silently sighed and said, I went to participate in the audition for the university show. Lu Zhixing said, and then what? Did you advance? Lu Bo shook his head and said, how could we possibly advance? Of course, we were brushed off. Lue Xiao seemed to have known about this matter long ago and spoke out for him, it's not like being brushed off, then it's clearly encountering a black scene. After listening to these two people being introduced one by one, Lu Zhixing roughly pieced together the original situation. High School Show is a popular variety show hosted by Nagato Satellite TV, which has reached its third season and remains popular throughout the internet. This variety show is still in the form of talent shows, but it targets a relatively special group. Only high school students and college students. Therefore, it is called the University Show. Moreover, the University Show is divided into 3 different tracks, namely singing, dancing, and performance, each of which has hired industry experts as mentors. Compared to other single-track variety shows, college shows have richer content, and contestants can also choose a more suitable track based on their own strengths. Many universities have audition venues, and Jinghai University has arranged a main venue here. Many students have participated in the audition with a trial mentality. Although Lu Bo has a long face, he is very talented and his guitar skills are enough to go to the music academy. As for why he ultimately chose game design instead of music, in his own words. Firstly, because he prefers game design, which is a dream. Secondly, because he can compete in a different position and more easily catch up with beautiful senior students. After all, in the music academy, the big shots are everywhere, and playing the guitar is not a big deal, but in other colleges, it's different. Proper girl-picking skills. Regarding this, the other 3 people in the dormitory all expressed that what you said makes sense, and we simply cannot refute it. In everyone's opinion, Lu Bo's playing and singing skills are definitely not a problem. Not to mention entering the finals of the college show, he is always very confident in going through an audition. Unexpectedly, the audition for this program was quite unreliable, and the final quota was actually for online voting. Everyone relied on their abilities to solicit votes, and they could even spend money directly to win them. Lu Bo had no money or connections and was squeezed out of his spot by others. Afterwards, the staff of the program privately hinted that there were 2 ways to directly enter the semi-finals. One was to sign a contract with the agency, and the other was to spend 250,000 yuan to buy a spot and go straight to the finals. The contract content of the brokerage company is not even as good as the sales contract, with a term of up to 10 years and high liquidated damages. So Lu Bo refused and decided to never get involved in such a stinky program again. After listening to these, Lu Zhixing felt a little emotional and said, I have long heard that there are many dark scenes in these domestic variety shows, but I didn't expect there to be dark scenes during the audition stage. Lui Xiao was also filled with righteous indignation. Who said it's not? But it's normal to think about it. The high school show has already reached its third season, and with such popularity, there is no shortage of people to participate. The organizers, in order to maximize their interests, naturally need to find ways to extract oil and water from the participants. The organizer must have had a vested interest in those brokerage companies, and the 10-year contract was clearly casting a wide net, with each one being won. Unfortunately, these behind-the-scenes messages cannot be posted online at all. Once posted, they are immediately deleted and subjected to public relations. Even if they can be spread on a small scale, it is impossible to prove their authenticity. There are just so many twists and turns during the audition stage, and I don't know what the black will look like during the main competition stage. Lu Bo quickly changed the topic and said, all right, this is just a small episode. I didn't have much anticipation for this. Instead of participating in this talent show to be a toy for capital, I might as well prepare for the college's welcome party and try to flirt with a few senior students at the party. Lu Zhixing and Lve Xiao nodded fiercely and said, indeed. It has to be said that Lu Bo did have a very long-term plan in this regard. When he applied for a major, he already thought of using his guitar skills to flirt with his senior at the welcome party, which made everyone feel inferior. Lui Xiao suddenly thought of something. By the way, have you played a new game this weekend? It's called Zen. Lu Bo paused for a moment and said, Cicada. Cicada. Lui smiled and said speechlessly, Zen. Zen meditation. This game is quite outrageous. It looks like a Pit Father game, and playing it also feels like a Pit Father game. Lu Bo was a bit confused and said, it looks like a Pit Father game, and playing it also feels like a Pit Father game. Isn't that a Pit Father game? Lve Xiao shook his head and said, that's the problem. Although players can only play trees, mountains, and stones inside, their ratings have been increasing since the release, and now they have received a lot of positive reviews. It can be said to be the hottest independent game recently. Lu Bo was surprised and said, is there such a thing? Even junk games can receive rave reviews. Lve Xiao was quite emotional and said, yes, at first I thought it was unbelievable, but after playing it myself, I found that there is still something about this game. Many people online have analyzed it, and it does contain a lot of philosophy, such as seeing oneself, seeing heaven and earth, seeing sentient beings, and many people say that playing this game really brings out life insights. Of course, it's hard to say whether these so-called insights are real or fake, but no matter what, the producer who made such a game can be considered a genius. Lu Bo opened the official game platform and indeed found this game. Wow, they all made it to the top 10 of this week's independent game sales chart. How much does it cost? Do you have tens of thousands? Jealousy makes me look completely unrecognizable. You said we are still game design professionals at least, why can't we come up with such a game? Lve Xiao sighed and said, this kind of thing depends on talent. It's similar to writing songs. Many people with a background in science cannot write a good song in their lifetime, but some music experts can write classic songs that move people's hearts. I can only say that this is pure talent. If you don't accept it, you can't do it. Lu Zhixing listened silently beside him, feeling very comfortable in his heart. Say more, I love listening. Lu Bo curiously asked, so who exactly is the creator of this game? Has anyone found him? Lve Xiao shook his head and said, no. Now all I know is that this person seems to be in Jinghai, nicknamed Stranger. Perhaps they are outsiders who live in Jinghai for a long time. Lu Zhixing couldn't help but smile. Is there any need to guess about this kind of thing? Far away in the sky, close in front of me. Stop pretending, I'll have a showdown. I'm that ordinary game design genius. Lu Zhixing coughed lightly and said, actually, this thing. However, just as Zhixing was about to share this joy with his two roommates, he heard Lve Xiao also speak at the same time. However, a live streamer online actually captured a person in the park who appeared to be the producer. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Professional Courses. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Professional Courses. Zhixing was momentarily bewildered. Lve Xiao, who accidentally snatched the words, felt a bit embarrassed and said, "Brother Lu, what were you trying to say earlier? You should say it first." Zhixing quickly shook his head and said, No, first of all, why did the anchor capture this person? Lve Xiao searched on the computer and quickly found a video. This is the video. Do you all know about Zhixing? The game zone is a famous anchor, and this is the scene she took when she went jogging in Longtan Park that day. At that time, she and her fans didn't pay much attention and thought she was just a performance artist. However, after Zen became popular, netizens turned into detectives and realized that this person was likely the producer of Zen. Lu Bo looked at the screen without realizing it. In the video, Zhixing captured this person clearly with a mobile phone camera. Standing in a dimly lit tree pit, posing in the shape of a tree, occasionally swaying gently with the breeze. During this period, Zhixing also said a few words to him, but he remained unmoved and did not respond. Lu Bo was puzzled and said, "Why is he the producer of Zen? We can't just forcefully connect two people if their spirits are a bit abnormal, can we?" Zhixing's mouth twitched slightly. "Are you polite?" Lve Xiao quickly waved his hand and explained, No, it's not just that, there are many clues as evidence. Firstly, the positioning of this foreigner is in Jinghai City. Secondly, Zhixing's live streaming video was recorded on Friday evening, while this game officially appeared on the official platform on Saturday morning. Thirdly, it has been verified that the stone bridge in the game Zen is located in the old urban area of Jinghai City, not very far from Longtan Park. Fourthly, this person's performance art is clearly in cosplay with the big tree. And the second chapter in Zen is like a big tree simulator, and even the gameplay of swaying in the wind is very similar to this person's portrayal. All of these things added up, can we still say it's a coincidence? This person is very likely to be the producer of Zen. Lu Bo suddenly said, "I see. It's really suspicious to say that." They stared intently at the person in the video, and saw that he was quite tightly wrapped, with a black mask, a duckbill cap, and a hoodie hat on, making him fully armed. Only two eyes are exposed outside. This person seems quite young, although he can't see his face, he feels quite handsome. Well, unfortunately, I'm not very mentally normal. Oh, it's strange. Why do you feel a bit familiar as you look at it? The two were lost in thought. Zhixing silently reached into his pocket and stuffed the black mask inside to prevent the possibility of accidentally falling out. Fortunately, that hoodie is quite worn out. He doesn't wear it often and only wears it when the internet cafe helps. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll have to die in the dormitory club today. How could this live video of Zhixing be a boomerang? Before that, Zhixing specifically went to watch it. Zhixing's live broadcast replay did not cause much response, but only spread on a small scale among her fans, so he thought the crisis was over. Perhaps in a while, everyone will forget about this matter. But to my surprise, with the popularity of Zen, this video has been turned over again. What should we do? By the way, Brother Lu, what were you trying to say earlier? Lu Bo and Lve looked at him with a smile on their faces. Zhixing hesitated for a moment and said, "I just wanted to say." "Oh. I wanted to say that I have heard about this matter, but I don't think it's necessary to pay attention to it at all. The success of garbage games like this is all due to luck, it's definitely an irreplaceable success. So we don't have to underestimate ourselves, there's no need to take it to heart. Well, that's it. Alright, it's time. Let's hurry to class. After finishing speaking, he took the textbooks for his professional courses, pushed Lu Bo and Lve Xiao out of the dormitory, and then locked the door and headed straight to the elevator. Lu Bo and Lve smiled a little surprised and said, "What's wrong with Brother Lu?" At 9:50, the three of them arrived at the professional classroom on time. This is a large staircase classroom, and the seats are mostly occupied. This class is an overview of the basic theory of game design. As the name suggests, it is a fairly basic and highly theoretical course. The professor who teaches is called Zhixing. It is said that he is a retired gold medal producer from a large company. He has been responsible for the design of many excellent games and not only has a good network in the gaming industry, but also has long achieved financial freedom. The School of Game Design at Jinghai University has specially hired him as a professor, mainly to enhance the faculty of the college and also to enable students to better integrate with society. According to reliable information from senior students, although Professor Zhixing appears friendly on the surface, his demands are actually very high and quite strict, so no one dares to skip class. Lu Zhixing and the three others scanned the golden spot in the last row, and it was indeed fully occupied. I didn't see the shadow of Zhao Haoyan. Hey, Lao Zhao should have come quite early. He hasn't even taken a seat yet. Alright, the last few rows are not bad either. The three of them shifted their gaze forward once again, but as they reached the middle of the staircase classroom, they still couldn't see Zhao Haoyan's figure. What's the situation? Is the competition so fierce? The entire staircase classroom is almost full, with only the first 3 rows left empty. Obviously, this seat is too close to the professor, and most students don't want to sit here. The question is, where is Zhao Haoyan? Just as the three of them were feeling a bit confused, they heard someone calling out to them. Brother Lu. Lu Bo, Mr. Lv. This way. The three of them turned their heads and found Zhao Haoyan sitting in the first row waving at them. In the middle of the first row, where most students were afraid to avoid, Zhao Haoyan spread out several books, occupying a seat that he didn't really need, and even had an expression of gratitude. Lu Bo's mouth twitched slightly and said, "Is that how you occupy your seat?" Zhao Haoyan nodded and said, "Yes, isn't this the perfect location? God is so special. Excellent location." After entering university, most students completed the transition from academic achievers to thugs at the speed of light, so Lu Zhixing and Lu Bo and others ignored it. There are always some straightforward boys who haven't had a chance to change, such as Zhao Haoyan. But now there are no other options because the other positions have already been occupied. It's okay, just sit here. Maybe it's safer in the dark under the light. Lu Zhixing himself didn't mind, but seeing the stiff expressions on Lu Bo and Lve's faces, he could only comfort them in this way. Lu Bo and Lve smiled and looked at each other, leaving no other choice but to sit down separately. Next time, I still need to clarify with Lao Zhao that occupying a seat is the last row. Class is also comfortable, and it's convenient to take a walk after class. Everyone is already in college, where else would anyone sit in the first row in class? Soon, the class bell rang. A professor who appeared to be in his 60s walked onto the podium, and he was the professor of this class, Zhixing. Professor He's hair is only half white, he looks very energetic, and he is also smiling happily. However, this kind of smile is likely a disguise. For professors in universities, they should never judge others based on their appearance. The more they smile, the more likely they are to launch surprise attacks. On the contrary, those who appear more strict may be lenient and let their classmates go. Someone has already inquired among senior students before, and Professor He has very strict requirements for professional courses. Moreover, what's even worse is that he doesn't follow the routine when giving lectures. I often impulsively ask questions that far exceed the current level of my classmates, or assign homework that far exceeds their current level, which makes senior students suffer greatly. Okay, please be quiet, classmates. We're starting our class now. Professor Zhixing first gave a brief self-introduction, sharing his resume and representative works. In short, just like the intelligence he had previously inquired about, using 4 words to introduce himself is bully bombardment. There is a saying. For most students, the professor they come into contact with in college may be the most impressive person they can come into contact with in their major in their lifetime. This sentence is indeed not wrong. Then comes the normal course content. The name of this class is Overview of Basic Theory of Game Design, so Professor he initially talked about some basic design theories. However, during the lecture, he also cited many well-known game cases, combined with some industry insiders he knew, and gave a vivid and colorful presentation. It seems that this professor does have something to offer. Zhixing listened attentively. Although these are basic theories that may not be directly applied to game design, what he lacked in his past life as a self-taught dog planner was precisely these basic theories. As he was speaking, Professor Zhixing suddenly changed his tone and asked a question. A standalone game called Zen has become popular these days. Have you all played it? Here, the tall student sitting in the first row, please answer. Zhao Haoyan looked bewildered and said, me. Professor Zhixing nodded and said, yes, it's you. Zhao Haoyan stood up in confusion, feeling a bit embarrassed. Professor, I haven't played this game before. Professor Zhixing's face instantly pulled down and said, I haven't played before. What do you do on weekends? As a student majoring in game design, I don't require you to study or read professional books on weekends, nor do I require you to write design drafts, but do you always need to experience some of the latest games? How can I personally create games in the future if I don't even play the latest games and don't understand the latest developments in the gaming industry? Sit down. Seeing Professor Zhixing's face change in an instant, the other students who had not played this game also took a deep breath. You are indeed a smiling tiger. Previously, he was very friendly, but once the student made him feel dissatisfied, he immediately put on a stern face. No wonder those senior students are very afraid of him. When giving lectures, they will randomly ask people to answer questions that are not in the book, and the requirements are very strict. This is simply a person at the level of ghosts and sorrows. They all huddled their necks and secretly prayed to the professor not to point at themselves. As for Lu Bo, he sneered. Yes, this is the current world newspaper. Lao Zhao, who let you occupy the first row without saying a word? Just you silly big guy, sitting half a head taller than others, how could you not be the professor's target so clearly? However, he was obviously too happy too early, and only heard Professor Zhixing say, the student next to Degao, please answer. Lu Bo. He looked up and found that there was an aisle on Zhao Haoyan's left side. And on the right hand is himself. End of this chapter.